Hello everyone, welcome to another video. Today we're going to be talking about a lot of things. It's not an update video, but rather a highlights video. I haven't done one highlights video for a very long time, for in fact an entire year, almost an entire year time span, because I've been busy with, okay, that's just a really lame excuse at this point, okay, but yeah, I haven't really thought about making a highlights video for a while now, but since today, when this video comes out on 4/20, in fact, I decided maybe I'll make a highlights video about some topics. So yeah, although there isn't much to talk about for this month, but I do think there are things to mention. And it is a very interesting time, especially right now with the current situation. I like how we always I like how we are mentioning this whole coronavirus situation as a current situation. We are in this current situation. Either way, first thing we're gonna highlight about is about 4/20. Yeah, that's right. Today, or when this video comes up, it's gonna be 4/20. Very nice. Okay. Yeah, everyone's gonna get our Mountain Dew out. I'm not gonna mention it, okay? Because most of 4/20 is basically trying to smoke crack, okay? So, other than that, you also get high and stuff, all of that. And yeah, I mean, there's not much to elaborate about this, but really, it's 4/20. But given the current situation right now, I understand, you're not really cut out for 4/20 this year, but some people like me, we still celebrate 4/20 the usual way. We don't give a shit. We don't give a fuck. We celebrate as per usual, but in our confined space right here, as individuals like me, and individuals that, or if any of you are like me, I guess you can relate in a way where we just have some like a confined space, confined room where we just celebrate 4/20. So that's pretty much it. I spent 4/20 for the past years. One of the years I spent in 7-Eleven. Okay, yes, I've caused a bit of nuisance back in the days, back in 7-Eleven. But it was pretty fun. I drank like 2 bottles of Mountain Dew and I had a sore throat the next day. Very, very exciting. Very exciting. Other than that, last year I can't remember how I celebrated 4/20, but I remembered specifically 2018 or 2017. I used to really get super high and pretend to get high. Really, it's not really actually get high. If I actually were to get high, I would probably be, arrested at this point, because underage, you can't be smoking crack at 17 years old. So that's right. Either way, that's about it for that, for 4/20. I hope you guys also have a great 4/20, no matter how you celebrate it, okay? Just make sure you're not smoking crack underage, okay? Neither do you drink wine underage, okay? Hopefully, you have the integrity to do that and not be an unsincere person. Either way, let's talk about next about McDonald's. That's right. Why are we going to talk about McDonald's today? That's because McDonald's here in Singapore, not anywhere else, but specifically in Singapore, has announced that they're going to close all their outlets in fact, with immediate, if I think at this point it's with immediate effect that they're going to be closing all McDonald's until the end of the circuit breaker. Now, if you're a international viewer, if you're watching this from some other country and you do not know what circuit breaker is, let me explain to you. Yeah, before I want to set the context here before we talk about this McDonald's, why they're closing. So first of all, circuit breaker it's almost like a lockdown. Okay, it is kind of a lockdown. Okay, but we wouldn't say it is a full lockdown, but it's kind of like a partial to half lockdown. But you're still allowed to move outside of your estate. You can travel outside of your estate. You can do this and that. But okay, The exception is that you're only allowed to go out if necessary. Okay. I mean, no one, the government's not going to stop you, but there are certain restrictions where you have to wear a mask when you go out. It is mandatory, it is compulsory to wear a mask when you go out. You also need to keep a safe distance from others during the circuit breaker. In fact, even before the circuit breaker, they already implemented these safe distancing measures, which were kind of like, advise you to do safe distancing. But now the circuit breaker, in effect, they've made this a law where you must comply with these safe distancing measures. And other than that, yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. They during the circuit breaker, they only allow takeaways and deliveries. You cannot dine in. You cannot sit at the hawker center. You cannot sit at the restaurants. You cannot sit within that area, whatever. Okay. They also demarcated some seats where you cannot sit at. You, in fact, even in public transport as well, you also they have also pasted safe distancing stickers where you cannot sit at particular seats, so as to keep a 1 meter distance from other people, or maybe it doesn't really like pursue that. Okay, but either way, so that's the context behind the whole circuit breaker. It is kind of a lockdown, but not a complete one. Okay, because there is still a bit of movement that you can go around with. It is not a complete lockdown like our neighboring country, Malaysia, where they call it the movement control order. So that's kind of interesting. Either way, back to topic. McDonald's has decided to close all their outlets all the way till the 4th of May, which is the end of the circuit breaker. But it could extend, okay, which I think we now have an 80% chance that this circuit breaker might extend. So unfortunately, I think it might be closed even longer. In fact, everything else as well, also close longer as well if it's extended. I forgot to mention, by the way, circuit breaker also includes the fact that most workplaces has to be closed, and only essential services are allowed to run, and also schools and higher education learning. People like me, okay, colleges and polytechnics, all of us are supposed to go through home-based learning. So all schools are closed, and we are going to be doing home-based learning for the entire circuit breaker. And like I said, circuit breaker might extend. But McDonald's has decided to close their outlets because 7 of their employees have been infected with the coronavirus, and which is really unfortunate. So, in fact, they are the only fast food restaurant that they are actually infected, that has employees infected with COVID-19, and it's really unfortunate. So that's basically the reasoning behind it, and that's pretty much it. But before that, before they actually announced that they were going to close, they were actually saying that they were only allowing for a certain period of time that they allowed only takeaway, uh, not takeaway, but they weren't allowing walk-in takeaways. Basically, you go into the restaurant and take away. Um, they only allowed after that they stopped walk-in takeaway, and after that they only allowed drive-throughs and deliveries. So that's all that they allowed. But the next day, obviously, which is today, or I think I don't know, several hours ago, what yesterday, I don't know. They decided to announce that they're going to close all McDonald's outlets until the 4th of May, subject to extension, of course, with the whole circuit breaker measures. So, because their employees were infected with COVID-19, a few of them, 7 of them. So, yeah. So, that's pretty much it for that topic with McDonald's closed to the 4th of May. Nothing much to really say about that either. Um, Third one that I want to talk about is about, which is the last one I want to talk about, which is COVID-19 cases. An update on the situation here in Singapore. I never really talked about the whole coronavirus situation because, I mean, yeah, I did talk about it once back in February. I think I mentioned it, but that was a whole single video. But this, I think, will also be another single video talking about the COVID-19 cases. A little second update here about the whole COVID-19 going on, what's been happening. So currently, COVID-19 cases here in Singapore, okay, back in February, we were we were showing signs of improvement, and we were thinking that back then, at that point of time, we were thinking that because China's kind of recovering as well, we should also be able to recover, while the western side of the world will probably be the last few regions to recover from this. But of course, we were wrong. Because yeah, there were imported cases coming in from because the second wave started in Europe, because all the cases now shifted focus to Europe, and now at that point of time, Europe had a lot of cases, and in March, at the end of March, into the end of March, they actually there were Singaporeans who were studying in the UK, mostly from the UK and or other countries. Okay, they flew in back to Singapore, and these are imported cases, and because of that, after that, uh, ever since that entering April, there were no more imported cases, but there were a rise in community cases, local cases, which is on land around the country. There was an increase in the amount of community cases, local cases as well. And because of that, that's why the government decided to announce a circuit breaker, which is to hopefully, which in hope that this circuit breaker could decrease the amount of cases eventually, and hopefully hope for the best that it can settle down. But during the circuit breaker period, another cluster appeared, and another cluster appeared, and another cluster appeared. And it turns out that foreign worker dormitories are now the new target for this COVID-19 cases. Or I think to put it more specifically, to put it more less of a rude statement here, I think basically, unfortunately, the foreign worker dormitories suddenly got hit with these coronavirus cases, and now all these foreign workers who are residing in these dormitories are now being housed in other areas to keep themselves safe from this virus. Healthy foreign workers, they are being kept somewhere else now, but now they're trying to do vigorous testing to determine whether these foreign workers actually have the coronavirus. And now because of these foreign worker dormitories, okay, I mean, it's not entirely their fault, but just to put a disclaimer out there, it's not their fault, okay, it's not their fault at all, okay, but because of these foreign worker dormitories cases leading to rising cases, now we have the highest record ever is 942 cases a day. Um, because of that, now Singapore is now just today has now become the highest amount of cases in Southeast Asia. Basically, the country with the most cases in Southeast Asia, not the world. Highest cases in the world is obviously the United States with 700,000 cases. But for us right now, we are at 6,000 plus cases, and we are now the highest in Southeast Asia in terms of confirmed cases. So that means now we're slightly more than Indonesia's, obviously more than Philippines, and surprisingly more than Malaysia. Right now, because Malaysia called for their lockdown quite early back in March, in middle of March, they called for a lockdown, movement control order, basically. Their COVID-19 cases are increasing slowly now, and now their recoveries are increasing rapidly now. So now they're having more recoveries and lesser cases, which means Malaysia is finally recovering, and it means their lockdown, their movement control order, is very effective. So, yeah. Either way, I think that's pretty much all for this episode of highlights. Thanks for watching. Yeah, I'm very curious to see how this whole circuit breaker would turn out. I do think most likely it will extend. Except I think it's an 80% chance that it will extend due to these foreign worker dormitories. There will be a chance where they will extend the circuit breaker, because as you've seen from other countries like Malaysia and I think Indonesia as well, and other high-profile countries, I think you've read on the news that at least they've extended their lockdown at least once or twice, okay, because their cases are not going down at all, or they are going down, but they're going down towards the end of their lockdown, and therefore they have to call for another 2 weeks or 3 weeks more of the lockdown so as to make sure the situation is stabilizing. Yeah, to make sure the situation is stabilizing and to make sure that things are doing better. Either way, thank you very much for watching this highlights video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Do leave a like, be greatly appreciated. Add this to your favorites maybe. And yeah, and hope you guys will have a great 420 today when this video comes up. Do stay at home as much as possible, obviously during the circuit breaker, and also anywhere else if you're an international viewer going through a lockdown. Also stay at home. Stay at home. Only go out if necessary. If you want to buy Mountain Dew Epic, then you can do that. But buy it and go back home immediately. Okay. All right. Very cool. All right. Thank you very much for watching, and yeah, I will see you guys in the next video.